think we should start. First of all, I'm really happy that we're all here, and on Friday evening, especially. Happy to be here as a participant and to tell you something about the processes that we have in Tinkoff. The topic of my presentation is shift left testing. How you doing? My name is Edgar Burenkin, and I'm from Russia. First of all, can you hear me well? Can you see everything is okay? The slides, the sound, is it fine? Like just nod,
Yeah.
yes, no, yeah, good. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go. So just a couple of words about me. I'm from Russia. I live in Moscow, and my domain expertise is backend quality assurance. I talk about it online. I talk about it a lot on my podcast or Instagram page. You're very, very welcome there. I will always answer your messages or questions that you have, and I'm really proud to show you these pages because there we talk about IT in a very deep manner and a very detailed one. I've been working in Russian big tech companies since 2020. This is the year I started my career as a quality assurance engineer. And today I would like to talk about one particular point of quality assurance engineer, that is shift left testing. And we will exactly talk about these key points. First one is, what is shift left testing? The next one is, what problems does it solve? How we use it and what benefits we see. And I will talk specifically about the company I work in. This is Tinkoff, and we integrate shift left testing very deeply in our quality assurance process. So we have some things to share. And of course, we will have a section dedicated to questions and answers so that you can have your questions answered or just continue the conversation or share your thoughts. You can freely write your questions in chat right now during the presentation. I will have time to address them later, of course. So first of all, what is shift left testing? And we'll start talking about it with the traditional approach of development, where we have the stages of specification, development, testing, and deploy. And in that traditional model, we usually find problems at the latest stage of our development cycle. It means that a problem, a bug, we call it, was found, and it had to go through all the iteration, through every process, through every part of our long process to be found. And then to be addressed, this problem has to go back and start again, like with the first stage, go to specification, then development and testing. Every stage has to be iterated for one specific bug. And if we have a lot of bugs, it's going to take a lot of time. So we have to do everything so that we do not let those bugs go further. So we should catch them as fast as we can, as early as we can. Now we'll go a little bit to the participants of the process, and we'll get back to that model later, and you will see the logic of it. So first of all, who we have in our teams usually. There is an analyst who tells us what the business needs. There's also a developer who knows how to make those things that the business needs. And there's, of course, a quality assurance engineer, my favorite one, who knows how to test if the thing is really working the way the business wanted it to work. And they have very different set of skills. Each of them has very different set of skills. Again, this is an approximation. Don't get offended by the skill set I have here. This is just to I don't know, to imagine the point that I'm telling you, to show you an example. So the analyst is usually very business savvy. He knows what the business needs. He knows the requirements. And he's not very tech savvy. He doesn't have to be. And he doesn't have to be very quality assurance savvy. He doesn't have to know a lot about what a quality assurance engineer does and why and how. Then the developer, he is very tech savvy. He knows everything about the code on the project, about the dependencies, etc. But he doesn't have to know the business. He has the task. The task is very well composed in a very specific issue on your task tracker. So he doesn't have to know the business. And the quality, he has some notion of quality in his mind. Again, it's very different from what quality assurance engineer things about the quality. Quality assurance engineer, on the other hand, knows very much, hopefully, about quality assurance, and he has to know some business and some tech. Yet, you can see that the set of skills of every participant of the process is very different. And it raises the question of the process that we are having all together, like a development process, software development life cycle, separates all these three participants to the different stages of development. It means the expertise that every one of them has is separated from another part of expertise. So they are never in sync. And perfectly, in a perfect world, we would have all the expertise, first of all, together. And secondly, as early as we can, we should apply this expertise to every task our project needs and has on the task tracker board. So what we have to do is to unite all them together as early as we can in the process, and to combine that expertise. And when they are united, when they're all together and they stand early in the process, we have an ultimate team of professionals that, first of all, know everything about the project's needs, know everything about the project realization and about the project quality. And that way, this ultimate team can make the specifications for a great task that will be easier delivered for the team's benefit. And if we find any bugs, they will be identified in the beginning of the process rather than in the end of the process. So we find a lot of bugs. Now, of course, it's impossible to find all the bugs in the beginning of the process, yet we can decrease that number dramatically if we do not let some of the bugs that are caused by poor requirements go further than specification. So when this ultimate team comes together in the beginning of the process, there are some things that we have to keep in mind. First of all, such process makes specification specification stage much more time consuming. It means that they have to think, they have to somehow discuss the things, right, in any shape or form. Yet, if we have a very clear specification for every task on the project, it makes all the other stages of the process much faster. It makes us go faster and makes us deliver more and more efficiently. So while applying all these things in our teams, we found that this combined approach helps us gain more expertise about the process, not only for the whole team, but for every individual specialist. And we see increase of understanding of developer, understanding the business processes better, quality assurance, understanding the tech and business part better, and of course, the analyst understanding the tech and quality part altogether. So we have more expertise, we have more bugs found in specification, and we have less bugs found in prod or test. It means that less tasks go back in the process and consume the team's time. And the team focuses on the beginning of the development process instead of the end, because the result is already predicted by a well-specified task. And the team gains uniform understanding before any code is written. And that is the crucial point. I mean, from my experience, it is really crucial point because everyone has the same understanding of a very complicated task. So it's really important we don't bring bugs to the end of the process and we discuss them in the beginning. So this is like the theory part. Let's try and discuss the practical part as well. How do you actually shift your testing left? How do you shift it to the beginning of the process? And here we have two key points. First of all, you have to test your requirements. And secondly, you have to initiate 3 Amigas meeting. And so meetings and test requirements really help make your tasks more efficient and deliver them faster. So let's talk about 3 Amigas meeting, because this is like the biggest part of shift left for me and my team specifically. First of all, what is 3 Amigas? This is the meetings that involve all 3 members of the team, quality assurance, developer, and analyst. and they clarify uncertain nuances in the task. I will have a very good example of that later in the presentation, so don't worry, hold with me for just a little bit. Then they also provide the most suitable solution for the current stack. For example, developer has a very good understanding of technical part of the project, but the analyst doesn't. So when he writes the task initially, he doesn't always know that there might be like much better, much easier, and much more efficient solution. So during Three Amigos meeting, a developer can actually prompt the analyst to use that much easier solution. And it actually happens a lot of times in my practice. I saw that a lot of times. And the last part is we document the exact required result. This is really great for quality assurance engineers. I know sometimes testing can be a hustle, especially when you don't know exactly what to expect. I mean, with front-end tasks that might be like obvious, you're expecting a specific layout, specific element, specific color, button, etc. Yet, when you're talking about backend, this is crucially important to understand the process behind everything. And to catch that, you have to document the expected result. And I will have an example of that later in the presentation as well. So we combine all those three specialists, and by their expertise, we prevent bugs going to the test or prod environments. But I know that your time is precious during your work days, and it's really hard to think about like one more meeting, like Three Amigos. What is this? Do we have to like waste our team's time, especially the analyst, developer, and quality assurance all together? That is very expensive for the company. Like, is it really effective? And it actually doesn't always have to be a meeting. And for our team, the setup. So now I'm going to talk about like the practical setup that we have. Every time the task goes to a specific status on the board that we're using, we have a special bot that sends the ID of that task and a very short description of it to the chat, to our team's chat. So here we see that Joey, the analyst, sends the task cook breakfast for Charles to the status waiting approval. You see that the task changed the status, it goes to the chat, and we need to approve it and rate it. But yet, before approving the task to go any further, quality assurance engineer and developer go and fight this task for poor requirements. They ask questions, they ask analysts the questions. Like, what does it mean? What exactly do you mean by breakfast? What is it? Like, it's not a technical requirements description. And we have the analyst answering scrambled eggs and coffee. Okay, that sounds more like a breakfast, but quality assurance engineer always has some questions. Is it black coffee, latte, drip, sugar? Does Charlie have any allergies? How many eggs, etc.? A lot of questions. Those quality assurance engineers are a bust. They have a lot of questions, and it's really important to answer every one of them. And a developer also might ask you something. He also doesn't always ask. He maybe prompt something to the analyst, like to do it better. He says, we don't have any frying pans on the project. How do we cook fried eggs? We only have like pot, and we can boil the eggs, but we can fry them really, really badly if you want it so. Coffee is not a problem. Okay, so now analyst has the context of the technical realization of our project. So he knows a little bit more about the tech. And he can come with a solution. Usually it goes in two places. First of all, he has to come up with a solution to the task, updated in the task tracker. And of course, he answers the guys like, sure thing, black coffee filter is fine. Let's have boiled eggs so far. Already updated the task in Jira. That is very important. He always makes updates on the go. As soon as he makes those updates, we may be okay with that. We don't need the Three Amigos meeting. This is the Three Amigo process. This is okay. Chats are fine, especially when they are documented in the text in the chat. So, and he asks, do you have any other questions? And of course, quality assurance engineer usually has some. And he says that he wants to talk about acceptance criteria in details. So he sets up a meeting. And that's a very good point. If one of your team members has questions that he thinks that it's better to talk about them on a meeting. This is the indicator of that you should hold a meeting, because it means that something useful will happen at that meeting. The task will be better. The task will be easier to deliver with those added value. So let's go back to the process and see what we've done here. First of all, we had analyst just wanting breakfast, developer thinking that breakfast is like donut and coffee, and quality assurance engineer thinking that breakfast is like beer and some other things. And when they came together, they all have one imagination of what breakfast is, and they caught all those unnecessary bugs, unnecessary tasks that could have been delivered all the way to deploy or testing stages. And they took them and they just annihilated them by a very short thread in a messaging app that they use. Okay, that's great. To me, that's already wonderful. Yet, we can make this process even faster if we use one more thing that we are currently using at Tinkoff, and this is the template for the tasks. And I'm actually going to show you the exact template that we're using right now. So I think you'll have the presentation, etc. So you can try using it at your team, and of course you can adapt it to your needs. Just have a look at that. In this template, from top to bottom, we have documentation link, business description, technical description, databases, API services affected, and acceptance criteria. We'll go one by one just right now. Just give me a second. Again, for our team, filling some of them is not really mandatory if the analyst is sure everyone understands him correctly. And you have to remember that 3Amigo, shift left, everything that is a process. You don't have to implement everything right now, right here. It is a process. It requires iterations. It requires time. A week is a very small period. So you have to think about like 3 to 6 months, and you will understand the process. You have to commit with all your team. But let's go through an example of the task that we could have on our board. So we have documentation link, which is on wiki usually. Then we have business description, very abrupt, just in general, cook breakfast every morning. We need to cook breakfast for Charles. Technical description, hard-boiled eggs, 3, coffee, drip or Americano, not sweet. So this is more specific, right? So you define every involved aspect of the process. Then databases, oh, I'm sorry, there's something with the screen. Is it okay? Yeah, I think it's fine. So databases, here we'll list every API or database or services that are involved here. It will help both the developer and the quality assurance engineer to know where to look. And the acceptance criteria. Breakfast contains listed items. They are cooked and served on a plate. Again, just a little structure, but it adds a lot of value, because if we have more structure, we have more clarity, more understanding of the task and the required result. And just a couple of points. Discussing all uncertainties found in the task and clarifying them in the text right away really helps to annihilate unnecessary bugs, as well as conducting 3Amigas meeting when they are really necessary. Again, we don't have to start with them, but if one person in the team requires the meeting, so the team should have it. So let's talk about the benefits of this process. What actually do we gain by having this shift left testing process? First of all, it is predictability. Again, as I said, it's a process. It's not a 1 week or 1 day thing. You have to remember that it's like a long-term commitment. And we see that month by month, we can actually rate our tasks with more accuracy. It means the business owners can know much better when they are able to deliver the product for the end user. Then the sync part is my favorite one, because I start understanding much more about the tech part and the business part of the product. And I'm sure everyone on the team feels the same. It's great to see that everyone knows the context much better. Then the throughput, it means that in the perfect world, with that process, we deliver much more tasks, we deliver them more efficiently, and of course, we deliver them faster and better. Again, I cannot give you the exact numbers, so this point is more like an opinion, But this is a very strong opinion of mine. Unfortunately, you know that every project changes very rapidly, and it's really hard to look at one exact number and tell, yeah, we've done it better, we've done it faster this time. How many variables there are in any product. So you think that now I will show you the metrics, right? Especially the people like business owners, product managers, and delivery managers really like to think about it as everything should be measured. But not today. But I will show you one metric that I think is really important, and it's really vivid. It shows what result we had after implementing this shift left testing approach. This is the story points to bugs found. Again, story points is the way that we evaluate the tasks, and we have special story points story points for quality assurance engineer. In 2022, we had 41 story points and 23 bugs found, which is about 56% bugs according to story points. And we had 360 story points in 2023 with only 89 bugs. The number is bigger, but you see that the percentage is much lower. It means we had 2 times decrease in found bugs. It means that our tasks were described in a much better way, in a much more efficient way, and the team understood the tasks much better. It means that we brought much less tasks from the end of the process to the beginning back. And I think that's a wonderful result. Okay, that's actually it for me, but I'm really open for any questions that you might have, and I'll be happy to try maybe and answer them.